Hey y'all, it's Dri. It's cold out here today, so I'm all wrapped up. But I wanted to come on here because I noticed something recently that I didn't really expect. You see, after I'm sorry. After I chose myself, which we talked about in my last video, my life didn't explode. Nothing dramatic happened. There was no big emotional moment, no confrontation, and no sudden resolution. What happened instead, it was quiet. And at first that almost confused me. Because, Ollie, are you throwing up, Mr. Boy? What happened? What was I saying? Oh, what happened after I chose myself? I realized when you make a decision that significant, you naturally expect to feel something big. But the truth is, the real shift wasn't loud. It was all internal. Choosing myself didn't just change a situation with someone else. It changed my entire relationship with uncertainty. Because before that moment, there was still a small part of my energy orbiting around the idea of possibility. I wasn't chasing it. I wasn't begging for it, but I was leaving the door open. I was leaving space for something that might or could happen. And the moment I chose myself, that orbit that was left open, it ended. I stopped orienting around someone else's timeline altogether. And I stopped letting potential occupy space in my fields. And when I did that, something inside of me recalibrated. And no, it wasn't loud, but it was physical. My nervous system settled. That subtle tension that comes with uncertainty, it disappeared. There's no scanning, no wondering, no interpreting signals, just my presence and just clarity. And I guess I didn't realize how much energy had been tied up in that subtle waiting that I was doing until the energy that was going towards that came back to me. Because when you choose yourself in a real way, not as a performance and not as a statement, but as a intentional decision that you have the intention of thoroughly seeing it through. When your intention is there, your energy reorganizes. And when your energy reorganizes, your reality starts responding differently. And I started seeing it almost immediately. not in some mystical way, in very real ways. My focus sharpened, my patience increased, my awareness became cleaner. And nowhere was that more obvious than obviously at the poker table. For the last 2 weeks, I've been on an absolute heater. Anyone who plays poker knows that heaters happen. Variance is a part of the game. And sometimes the cards just run your way. But this stretch of play has felt different because it wasn't just the cards. It's my state. I'm playing calm, completely calm. And the difference between luck and alignment has become very clear to me, because luck, it comes and goes. Luck might last a night or maybe even a couple sessions, but this wasn't that. My mental state stayed exactly the same from one session to the next. So it was like I never got out of my seat. But in reality, I would leave the table, go home, sleep, wake up the next day, live my day, and then go back to the card house. And I would sit down and I would be in the exact same mental space as I was the previous day, producing the exact same results. I'm balanced, patient, clear. There's no emotional swings. There's no chasing losses. There's no forcing action. There's no even concern or suspense around what the outcome is going to be. I'm just present in the moment, and with calm observation and precise decisions, I'm playing. I have never experienced that level of consistent mental balance over that long of a stretch of play. Not once ever. And that makes me realize something else. This doesn't feel like luck. It feels like alignment, because alignment looks a lot like patient. And alignment looks a lot like clarity. And it also looks like someone who is no longer leaking energy into uncertainty. When your energy is stable, your attention sharpens. Your instincts become easier to trust. Your timing improves. And you stop trying to control outcomes. And instead, you simply meet them when they arrive. And this game reflects that. Just like life reflects that. People reflect that. And that's when I started noticing something else. Because people from my past have begun circling back. I'm getting messages, little check-ins, small signals from people who used to occupy a lot of space in my mind. And when this started to happen, I couldn't help but laugh. Because it almost felt like they had received some kind of telepathic memo, like somewhere in the universe an announcement went out that said loud and clear, Dri is standing in her worth now. And suddenly the same people whose attention once felt so significant began appearing again. But something inside of me has already changed. And the attention that once would have meant so much to me, it's not landing the same way. The validation that I once might have paused to examine, it barely registers. And that realization, it does surprise me, because these are the same people I once hoped with everything inside of me that they would see me and that they would choose me. And in all of these cases, neither of those things happened. They didn't see me. They didn't choose me. So standing here now in this version of myself, I'm not even batting an eye. And it's not out of arrogance. It's not out of bitterness. But it's because I genuinely no longer need it. And that's when the deeper realization lands. Because the moment you stop craving external validation, the world starts offering you it. Not because you chased it, but because you removed the energetic tension that was surrounding it. And when that tension disappears, attraction, it naturally reorganizes itself. But by that point, you're no longer orienting around it. You're simply standing in your own lane. And this is the part that no one really talks about, because the most powerful moment isn't when the people come back. It's when you realize that you don't need them to, and maybe even that you don't want them to. And that makes me understand something even more deep. Because the power wasn't in the moment I chose myself. The power was in the calm that followed. It was the way my nervous system stayed regulated. It was the way I could sit in my own company without second guessing my decision. It was the quiet confidence that replaced the subtle tension of uncertainty. Choosing yourself doesn't always look powerful from the outside. Sometimes it just looks like someone quietly stepping back into their own lane. But internally, everything shifts. Because when you stop negotiating with misalignment, you stop fracturing your own energy. You become coherent again. And coherence, that's magnetic. Not loud and not dramatic. Grounded. Your standards become visible. Your posture changes. And your presence stabilizes. and then the world begins responding to the version of you that is no longer asking for permission to move forward. So, if you're in a moment where you're being asked to choose yourself, even if it comes with grief, and even if it means walking away from something that mattered, just remember this. The real transformation isn't the moment you make the decision. The real transformation is the peace that follows when you realize you no longer need to revisit it. That's when your energy comes back to you. That's when your clarity sharpens. That's when your life begins organizing itself around the standard you just set for it. And the thing about alignment really is, it doesn't just change one area of your life. It changes the way you move through all of it. The same clarity that showed up at my poker table, the same calm that carried from one session into the next, that's the same clarity that shows up in your relationships. It's the same steadiness that shows up in your decisions. When you stop negotiating with misalignment, your life stops feeling scattered, and everything starts moving in the same direction. That's your mind, your energy, your choices. And when that happens, you don't just change the outcome of one situation. You change the trajectory of your entire experience. And sometimes it even looks like a 2-week heater at the poker table. Not because you're lucky, but because you're finally playing from alignment. And alignment, that's always going to change the game. Where there is love, there is light. I'll catch you guys again soon.